In accordance with Civil Contingencies regulations, only 20 people attended the opening of the legal year ceremony, with masks worn and air conditioning not used. The impact of COVID-19 was touched upon in each of the three speeches. Chief Justice Anthony Dudley said the fact that the courts had weathered COVID with a modicum of success did not mean they were in rude health, having operated at times with 70 and even 50% of their normal complement. On a different subject, Mr. Justice Dudley said that while he would not comment on the retirement of the former Commissioner of Police, there was a related issue: Ian McGrail's call for an independent judicial inquiry by a UK High Court judge and the government's adoption of that position. Mr. Justice Dudley said even if not intended, an inference could be drawn that the local judiciary was not equipped or was insufficiently independent to handle the matter, something he said he fundamentally disagreed with. For his part, Attorney General Michael Llamas spoke of the challenges posed by both COVID-19 and Brexit.
The Civil Contingencies Act, which is the legislation that grants the government the powers to pass all the legislation it has passed this year, was enacted in 2007. Between 2007 and this year, it had only been used twice. The first time one was the Mediterranean Hotel was collapsing, and the second time was at the time of the explosion in the Sullage plant at the North Mole. Twice. Since February, when we used it for the first time for COVID, until now, we've passed no less than 130 enactments under the Act. It is a truly astonishing figure when you consider how little the Act had been used in the past. So as you can imagine, COVID has taken over the work for a large number of the lawyers in our offices, working with the Minister for Civil Contingencies, Samantha Sacramento, and it's been a new piece of work that has come into our office, which we were not expecting, obviously.
Now, in your speech, you've emphasised the twin challenges of COVID and Brexit, and the need, as emphasised by the European Commission's decision to begin legal proceedings against the UK for infringement of the Withdrawal Act, for Gibraltar to keep planning for a no-deal outcome.
Yes. Today I thought it was appropriate to focus my speech on the two main events of the year, which has been COVID and obviously Brexit, which has been churning in the background and in the forefront for most of the year. With Brexit, I think what's important to realise is that there are numerous work streams on Brexit. There's firstly the work and the commitments we entered into in the withdrawal agreement. That generated a lot of work. It set up committees on environmental protection, police and customs cooperation, tobacco and citizens' rights. So those MOUs required these committees to do work. So those committees met for the first time in February, and then they met here in Gibraltar in July, and that has been one work. So one work putting into effect what we had already committed to. A second work stream is, whether we like it or not, we still have to prepare in case there's no deal. I mean, that is a possibility, and as you rightly say, the fact that the European Commission has taken the first step to bring infraction proceedings against the UK for its publication of the Internal Market Bill obviously doesn't make one very confident about what's happening at that level. So that is another work stream, thing that needs to be done, and particularly to make the public aware of what's going to happen on the 1st of January if there's no deal. A third work stream is that the UK is already negotiating free trade agreements with countries around the world. They are committed, the UK government is committed to include Gibraltar in those free trade agreements, and this includes very exciting new prospects for our jurisdiction, trade agreements with the United States, with Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Turkey. So that's another work. And the last, and certainly not the least important of all the work streams, is ensuring Gibraltar's future relationship with the EU.
Speaking at his first opening of the legal year as chairman of the Law Council, Kenneth Navas highlighted a number of issues. These included the increase in employment tribunal claims arising from the Bullying Act, and a difficulty in progressing tribunal claims against large employers, including the state, due to conflicts of interest. Mr. Navas spoke of a rise too in appeals dealt with by the Mental Health Review Tribunal. And he referred to the challenge posed by COVID-19, which he said had seen at least one small law firm disappear and unprecedented numbers of redundancies in Gibraltar's largest firm.
I think that the impact in particular has been felt in initially, certainly, in having to send quite a lot of people home. Firms generally have arrangements for practitioners, as in their lawyers, to work from home. But this was a very different undertaking. Overnight, literally, we had to make all of our staff able to work from home. A little anecdote for you: you couldn't buy a laptop in Gibraltar on the weekend, in the week prior to the 17th of March. So obviously, and that concern will have been magnified for bigger firms and bigger organizations. My firm, for example, is about 15 people, and it was quite an undertaking. I can't even begin to imagine what it's been like for larger organizations. Another issue was, for a few months, and almost a complete stop on cash flow, and that was very worrying for lots of businesses. And we started thinking that this was the norm. Thankfully, cash flow has been restored to a much greater extent, but it's obviously made firms reassess the possibility of these events repeating themselves in the short to medium term, and take measures accordingly.
All who spoke expressed the same concluding hope, that this year would see an improvement to the current grim times and a return to some semblance of normality.